it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with another new chapter of Code Geass X. And this is the first official chapter for the series, and I hope you all enjoy it. Let's go with that of a quick recap. In the last part, Lelouch, before that of the main timeline of Code Geass began, was given that of the Skell system by an entity that looked through that of multiple multiverses to find the perfect Lelouch to give this system to. And let's just say it was easier said than done, but the entity was able to, giving it to that of the Lelouch who has at least a little bit more socially aware, to be honest. And to make sure to be more inclined to basically use the system, the Watcher of his world ended up giving him a hint that his mother is still alive, and the culprit who tried to kill her was his uncle, an uncle he knew nothing about. With now that drive basically added to him, he finally understands on what a Skell truly is. A machine similar to that of a nightmare frame, but not entirely. As somebody who was basically considered to be the worst, mecha pilot in anime history, even though being a protagonist and all, with this Skell system, he should be able to handle piloting a lot more better and easier than he would be in that of future canon events. However, doing to these actions on trying to figure out his Skell, certain, timeline changes happen. For example, he ended up saving that of, Nina from basically being assaulted by that of, Japanese turned 11s. He's starting to work out more and do more physical activities. He's taking up more on that of mechanic, engineering, and that of serious piloting when it comes to understand his Skell a lot more, which soon led to that of Millie finding out more too. As this Millie is actually, more socially aware on how Lelouch acts, instead of just being in her own little world and being the, queen of Ashford. As she truly does worry about Lelouch and Nonali, and finding out about that of his Skell, but not about the system itself, she decides to stay by Lelouch's side and help him on his goals. But at the same time, wanting to show him other paths outside of fighting to change Britannia for the better. But little do they know, a certain other person finds out too, that being Nina. How will this new timeline happen with this new Lelouch? So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Chapter 1, Scale to Battle. It's been a year now since, Lelouch has now gained that of the Skell system, and due to this, he was able to finally get a better handle of all of his Skell, even that of combat, mainly because of one thing, him getting that of points for that of a simulation mode for his Skells, instead of, having to go outside and go around that of the ghettos to basically outside of the Tokyo settlement to, study and understand his skills in combat. He was able to use that of the points that he gains from certain achievements and tasks that he does around Ashford and also being around certain people, for example, to unlock that of a simulator mode, where in this simulation mode, it gives him tasks and objectives to fulfill to get a better handle of his Skell piloting, in which he does. He now has at least that of a better understanding and better control over his Skell, especially in combat, especially fighting against that of certain nightmare frames. Turns out the system updates itself constantly as years go by. First off, he went against that of Glasgow's. Then second, he goes against that of, Sutherland's. Then, currently now in this year, the new generation mass-produce, fifth generation nightmare frames, the Gloucesters, with piloting each and every one of his Skells to get a better understanding of them, actually, and how they fight. Turns out, even though Skells have a lot more, taller, a lot more arsenal, and even a little bit faster as well, not to mention it has that of a lightweight hover mode, which allows it to basically hover at least that of, at least 5 inches off the ground to have that of better mobility and control over that of the battlefield. However, when not using it, it's pretty slow, to be honest. There is a booster mode too, alongside its transformation features, but even so, it's not that useful. Hell, even though it has better, add that with its thruster system, which allows it to jump pretty high, at least out of 20 feet tall, but it's still not enough. Not to mention, it's not as agile. If it was, luckily, the nightmare frames that Lelouch is going against, like that of, are basically mass-produced models, so they're not really that agile to even begin with. However, he's not an idiot. As much as he wants to think that his Skells can handle any nightmare frame, Britannia continues to update and improve nightmare frames as years go by. Sooner or later, the 6th generation nightmares are going to be surpassing that of the Gloucesters. And it won't be any longer until that if even the 7th generation nightmare frames are released too. Lelouch needs to gain more and more powerful Skells and improves, not just in that, and improve not just himself in his Skells, but also himself as well. But currently, right now, he's currently in that of the settlement, nearing that of the downtown area, heading into that of a luxurious hotel, possibly that of a 4 to 5 star hotel, to be honest, where there he goes against that of several nobles. However, entering in that of the hotel room, Lelouch is a lot more different than his normal kind of timeline, where in that of his normal look, he's normally that of a tall, scrawny, and somewhat short, long-haired young man. However, this Lelouch, you can tell that his shoulders are a lot more broader, his arms look at least a little bit more masculine. Not to mention, his hair seems a little bit longer than normal. You can tell because he has that of a small ponytail coming down that of the right side of his shoulder, mainly in the front. As ever since gaining that of the Skell system, showing how much he's improved and has changed since now trying to understand being a Skell pilot. However, one thing has never changed when it comes to Lelouch. Even though his appearance has changed, his attitude and how he sees himself when he plays chess and others doesn't. As just like in canon, he basically mops the floor with that of the, snobbish noble. Within him saying, "I'll be taking that," as he takes that of the cash from the nobleman who lost. Within saying, "My appearance means nothing if you can't back up every word I say. Maybe you should stop wasting time with the fine dining and focus more on that of improving your intelligence. And then you wouldn't have been so predictable." Within, Lelouch leaves. Within, Rivel saying, "Sorry about that, man. He could be a little bit, high on himself." Rivel's saying, Yeah, I'm coming. As the blue net follows after that of his friend. Within, soon, as they heading closer and closer out of the, hotel hall, heading to that of Rivel's bike, saying, "Seriously, those nobles really don't know what they're dealing with when they come to face against you, Lelouch." Within, Lelouch counting his money, saying, "Nobles like that need to be knocked down a peg if I had to say so myself. Other than that, this is enough that should cover me and Nonali's finances for at least the next few months." Within, Lelouch also saying, "Not only that, I also found out that the system allows me to transfer my points into that of currency here in the settlement. So that means with enough points I've saved since last year, I've actually turned at least a little bit into that of a secret bank account. That bank account is mainly in that of Nonali's name, so anything bad happens to me, she'll be okay." Within, pulling out his phone, within realizing, it's the president. Within saying, damn, she's really been on your butt lately since you started doing more and more, gambling chess matches after all. You think you could? Don't worry, I'll take it. Just get the bike ready. Saying, sure. As he tosses the helmet towards Lelouch, as he soon answers the phone, saying, "I already know what you're about to say," Millie saying, "Do you?" Within, soon pulling the phone away from his ear, saying, "Yes." Saying, "Figures. So you also know that I shouldn't say that you should be here at school right now? Or do you really think that some of the teachers are allowing you to basically do what you want after all?" Within hearing that, Lelouch couldn't help but sigh and out of annoyance saying, "Look, I get it. You're looking out for me, Mills. I appreciate it, especially since I told you about the system a year ago. But you're basically acting more like that of a nagging mother." But then she's saying, "I don't see any difference here right now. Plus, you're supposed to help me with that at the next school festival in the next couple of days." But then Lelouch can help have that of a sweat drop and more of a look of annoyance before sighing saying, "Figures that was the main reason why you called me." With then saying, "Well, there's that. Plus another thing. Given that you probably spent at least a few hours doing your chess match after all, you probably don't even know about this." With then Lelouch saying, "What is it?" With then Millie getting out of that the student council room, not wanting Shirley and also that of Nina to hear. With then making sure that the coast is cleared. With then saying, "There was a terrorist attack a little while ago, actually." Hearing that, Lelouch couldn't help but be surprised on the other line of the phone, while listening intently to that of Millie's words. As she continues going, "They say the thing that the terrorists stole was poisonous gas. Experimental poisonous gas made here in the settlement. Who knows on what they're going to be doing with it. However, my guess is they're probably not going to be using it." Within Lelouch saying, "Definitely not. It's mainly just used as a bargaining chip, possibly even that of a blackmailing for that of Clovis after all, given he is the viceroy of Area 11. Within, Millie could help but also sigh saying, "Speaking of that of your elder brother, he also made a speech a little while ago, and my estimate, he's also going to plan another speech about what has happened too." Within, Lelouch can help but scoff saying, "Technically, he's not even doing those speeches. It's pre-recorded bullshit that he does ahead of time." Within, hearing that, Millie saying, "Wow, quite pretty, well, rough on that of your older brother you haven't seen in years," saying, "I've seen how he's been treating that of the settlement lately. He's basically allowing a lot of corruption around here in the Area 11 after all. A lot of nobles, police, and even that of common Britannians are basically free to do whatever they please, as long as it isn't done to that of fellow Britannians. Even honorary Britannians aren't even safe." Within, Millie saying, "Lelouch, do you really think this is the time?" saying, "Not yet. I just need a catalyst. However, if things go too hectic or become too crazy." Within, looking at that of his system as he sees his first customizable Skell, the Zero, "I can handle myself. I haven't been practicing for no reason after all." Within hearing this, Millie saying, "I guess so, but just try not to do anything too risky, okay? I don't want to worry both Nonnally and Shirley after all, and even Nina too." Within hearing this, Lelouch can up and say, "I promise I won't. Thanks for looking out for Nonnally, Millie, but what does Shirley and Nina have to do with this and my well-being?" Within hearing that, Millie couldn't help but remove that of her phone from her ear before then huffing, saying, "He is so dense," before bringing the phone back to her mouth saying, "Oh, no worries. Just get back here safe, you and Rivals. Still had to go over the budget." Within saying, yeah, I get it. I'll see you soon, President." Hanging up his phone before putting on that of the helmet. Within saying, "Shirley and Nina, that achievement that I gained from that of helping out that of Nina, her being my stalker, I've noticed she has some kind of, well, hero obsession over me. I doubt it's real love and feelings at all. But if she does, I just have to let her down pretty easily." As for Shirley, within thinking, she's a good person. Way too kind for her own heart. I don't want her getting involved with anything with me or what I plan on doing in the future. I'd rather of us only staying friends." Within, Lelouch heads to that of Rivals' bike, within saying, "So, what did the press want? Same old, basically reprimanding us for going out gambling to gain that and suckering out that of nobles as usual." Within, Rivell saying, "I mean, you can't really blame her. Nobles these days are pretty petty as hell." Within, Lelouch couldn't help but smirk saying, "What? Afraid that a noble may put a hit out on you? Within saying, "Hey, don't say stuff like that. You could jinx it." With Lelouch smirking, saying, "Apologies, can't help it." You're pretty easily to rile up, Rivals. Within getting somewhat annoyed at this before then saying, keep stuff like that and I'll never basically drive you around ever again. Within, Lelouch saying, sorry. Come on, let's get back before we worry them even more. With Lelouch entering in that at the sidecar, within Rivel saying, yeah, getting on his bike, starting it up, as they soon get on that of the road and head onto that highway to head back to Ashford a lot more quicker. As Lelouch basically pulls out a book, pretending as he's about to read. However, he's only pretending, as he's basically looking over that of his systems. Within soon, looking at that of the match with the noble, realizing, I didn't gain any achievements or points from that at all. Showing that gaming with that of nobles and playing them in chess matches mean nothing now. I remember I used to gain that of 10 points from facing against each noble that I won against. I gained 50 points from that tournament I won a couple months back too, but yet, nowadays, facing against nobles in chess is meaningless now. Within, Lelouch couldn't help but mentally sigh before realizing I need to gain more and more powerful scales. I only have 3 right now. If I can gain at least another more adaptable and more easily controllable scale, I should be. Within, getting out of his thoughts, closing his menu, before seeing that on the screen while Raval's still driving, is that of a blonde-haired young man wearing elegant and regal clothing, as this being the 3rd prince in line to the imperial throne of Britannia, Clovis La Britannia. As, just like with Millie said, he gives out that of a pre-recorded speech message about that of the terrorist, and that those of the Imperial Royal Guard and its military are on that of the case to take down these rapscallion 11s, which soon led to that of Lelouch basically, blocking out and muting his brother's voice, within him rolling his eyes, saying, same old, you never change, Clovis. Or rather, you've changed too much, to be honest. As Lelouch was about to go back to that of his system, however, that's when soon a truck comes by, basically almost looking like it was about to hit them, with Rivel saying, "Hey, what the heck? We're driving here!" Within, soon, those inside of the truck, though, don't even care, as one being that of a guy with blonde hair, wearing a cap saying, "Damn idiots, get out of the damn way!" Within, one person basically on that of the driver's side, as by the look of them, or by that of their cheekbones, you can tell that they're a female, as they're also listening to that of Clovis's broadcast. With it, making a comment calling them 11s, within saying, "We're not 11s, we're Japanese, damn it!" Within, swerving around even more, as the truck basically drives pretty dramatically, as the driver couldn't help but say, "I can't believe it that we were able to take this gas, but at what cost, damn it?" The woman on the passenger seat saying, "Naoto, he gave his life so we can take this. No point of us wasting it here." Within hearing this, saying, "Yeah." Before then, hearing that of a helicopter around the area within soon. One of the helicopter pilots saying, "We found the truck. I repeat, we have found the truck. Give information to that of the purebloods and Prince Clovis." Within hearing this, another several nightmare frames, as they are basically Sutherlands, piloted by that of a faction of Britannian military known as the Purebloods, with their leader being Jeremiah Gottwald, a blue-haired young man with that of a quite handsome features, and being beside him are that of his 2 fellow members of the Purebloods, dark-skinned woman with that silver white hair, with quite the curvaceous figure being Valletta New, and a guy with that of orange red hair, wearing that of a military noble's uniform, being a man by the name of Kuehl. Within, saying, "Lord Jeremiah, looks like we have the signal and the location on where the truck with the toxic gas was being." Within, the woman known as Valletta saying they're heading to that of the Shinjuku ghetto. Within, Jeremiah can help but smirk, saying, well then, we better not let His Highness down after all. Purebloods, move out! But then all of them say, yes sir! But then entering that of their Sutherlands, turning on that of their divisor key, and then using their land spinners to go down, to head out onto that of the highway. Noticing the helicopter getting close by, as then the truck basically swerves off that of the road, heading to that of one of the construction areas. Within seeing this, Lelouch saying, hey, Rival, stop! Saying, huh? Why? Saying, they just basically spun out. Within realizing they possibly got hurt. I'm gonna go check on them. Saying, what? Why would you do such a thing? Isn't that dangerous? Within Lelouch saying, if somebody doesn't help them, who will? They may have been assholes, but they don't deserve to die for it. Within Rivals couldn't help but basically grab his head, saying, oh man, seriously, how is a guy like that who barely shows any emotion or even cares actually has that much of a big heart? As the two passengers within that of the truck finally realizing, within the girl saying, Sugema, within saying, shut up, Colin. I had no choice if we wanted to get those helicopters off our tail. Within, Colin saying, yeah, how did that go? Within, trying to start up the truck, Lelouch already making there, trying to see if they're doing okay, as he soon was about, the truck is starting up, within him getting on that of the back of the truck, and heading into that of its cargo container, within seeing the opening, within realizing, what the hell? Don't they know that I'm in here, or didn't they even notice me? The truck backing up and heading back onto that of the highway, within Rivals realizing, wait, Lelouch! Lelouch! As then, however, more and more of the helicopters, and also the Sutherlands finally showing up and going after the truck, within saying, man, what am I going to tell those on the student council? As Lelouch is basically in the truck, within hearing tons of helicopters outside of the hall, within realizing, wait, what is this? Within soon pulling up his system menu as he goes to that of a feature called scanning, finding out that the system can scan basically any materials that Lelouch doesn't know and can't figure out just yet. Within scanning complete, within realizing as it says a prison cell, within saying, this is a prison cell? Within thinking, wait, this looks more like that of a gas container that Britannia would have. Why is they calling a gas container a prison cell? Within soon hearing that of the helicopters descending down more and more, within realizing, oh no, don't tell me that this was that terrorist truck. Why didn't I realize that sooner than later? Within hearing that somebody's coming back, as Lelouch basically hides behind something. However, he soon notices that of the girl, as it soon being that of a girl with spiky red hair, a quite, tight revealing outfit with tight red shirt, and also tons of harnesses around that of her waist and shoulder blades as well, as she also wears a red headband. Within Lelouch saying, wait, I know her. Within remembering back at Ashford about that of several months back, one of his classmates, known as Callan Statfield, a girl that barely shows up at that of the school, mainly due to her being sick. However, the Callan that he sees now has that of spiky red hair. The Callan that he met has that of long red hair going down to that of her sides of her face. She was getting a little bit pushy. Certain students were basically being pushy, wanting to ask Callan out. Even though she barely comes to school, he admired her quite a bit. However, Lelouch, stepping in, basically helped her out, telling the guy to basically knock it off to say that she's not interested. Within, Callan wanted to thank him, or rather pretend to thank him, as Lelouch saying, don't need to thank me for anything. I was just doing what a good person should do. Within, realizing that he got points from that, actually. However, what stand out the most is that the points didn't say helping out Callan's stat field. It said you helped out Callan Kazuki. You gained that of 30 points. Within saying Callan Kazuki. Within thinking, wait, is she half Britannian by any chance? Half Japanese, half Britannian? Within looking closer at her, seeing her eyes, is saying, actually, her eyes are actually quite narrow, like that of Japanese. That's not too surprising, actually. I'm guessing she's using that of her father's name instead of that of her mother's to be here at Ashford. If she's a half-blood, it only makes sense. Within him getting out of his flashbacks, within realizing what is she doing here? She didn't show up at school today at all, so why would within getting on that of a ladder as she soon and hearing that of a hissing sound, as that hissing sound sounds like that of a cockpit opening given his skills after all, within realizing, wait, don't tell me, is this? Within the cargo bay doors opened, as then hearing that of a humming and moving sound, within hearing that of something dislatching from that of the thing that was inside, hitting actually the helicopter. Within, Lelouch noticed it saying, wait, that was a slash harken. However, outside of that of the truck's cargo container, as the purebloods were already on the tail, within, Jeremiah saying, that was a slash harken. Does that mean, within, jumping out of the truck, being that of a red Glasgow, within, its sensor eye opens and then locks onto that of the helicopters and Sutherland's heading straight for Colin, saying, I won't let any of you damn Britannians get in our way! As Lelouch's eyes winding in shock, before then having that of a cold look of stoicism, saying, just my luck. I just had to be part of a truck with a terrorist. So that means this is supposed to be the toxic gas, and yet the system says that it's a prison cell. So what's really inside of here that it isn't really toxic gas? While Lelouch is basically trying to figure this out, however, little did any of them know, at the same time, that's when multiple drop helicopters having that of soldiers coming through, as on that one of the helicopters, an OC with that of a beard and red cap saying, you are all honorary Britannians. It's time for you all to... Now it's time for you to show why you earned that title. Prove that you are loyal to the crown by any means necessary. Do I make myself clear? Within all of them saying, yes, sir. Especially one who also having more of a determination and will to do so. While Callan is basically trying her best to defend from that of the helicopters and also that of the Sutherlands that Valletta, Jeremiah, and Kiel are piloting. However, doing so ended up costing her her right arm. With Callan basically grunting in that of, well, shock and pain. Within soon, Jeremiah couldn't help but smirk inside of his Sutherland, saying, you really have any idea of piloting an antique like that? Glasgows are outdated. 7-year rejects after all. You should have left it in the museum or scrap hard that you found it from. Within, bringing out that of the Sutherland's blade katana on that of its forearm down. That's when Colin brings up her last slash harken on her left arm, knocking that of the katana off guard, before then using her land spitters to basically spin backwards and heading straight for the ghetto. At the same time, that's when the truck with that of the so-called toxic gas arrives at that of the Shinjuku ghetto. Within, Jeremiah couldn't help but basically grit his teeth, saying, damn it, we have failed. Within, hearing this from that of a G1 base that's on the outskirts of, well, the settlement and in between that of the Shinjuku ghetto, inside of this, well, mobile base being Clovis, and that of his personal guard, General Bartley, within saying, you cannot be serious. You say that the purebloods were unable to gain that of the prison cell? Within, Bartley saying, apologies, your highness, But it seems like these damn terrorist bastards were able to outsmart the purebloods. They had a Glasgow saying, "I don't care if they had an outdated nightmare." As he couldn't help but basically bite on that of his white glove, saying, "If father or anyone or anything that finds out about that of the motherland, I'll be disowned. I would rather die than be disowned." But then saying, "I call on that of an emergency Earl plan. We're going to be leveling that of the Shinjuku ghetto to expand. We'll use this as an excuse to make sure that nobody knows about this. Wipe out the Shinjuku ghetto! Do I make myself clear?" Within everybody in the base, with every soldier saying, "Yes, your highness." Within hearing this, Jeremiah, alongside Kyo and Valletta, getting the orders from that within, Jeremiah saying, "So, we're going to be wiping out that of the Shinjuku ghetto." Serves them right. If they can't have the toxic gas, then they all deserve to die. Within, Valletta couldn't help but smirk, saying, "What a shame. If they didn't harbor terrorists, they wouldn't be. All the people here wouldn't have died." Within, Kyo saying, "Oh please, Valletta, why feel shame for rats? After all, these 11s aren't even humans anymore. They're nothing but numbers." After giving their opinions, they soon head down to the Shinjuku ghetto with their Sutherlands, sending out a barrage of gunfire everywhere. As for those of the Japanese people remaining within the ghetto, none of them had stood a chance, with soldiers and nightmares basically gunning down anybody. It doesn't matter if you're man, woman, or child. Within, and that's reaching that of the truck as being that of the honorary Pretendian squad. Within, a few of the soldiers that are in that of the front of the truck saying, "We have arrived at the truck, apprehending that of the fugitives." Within, soon, hearing this, known as Tsurugi, couldn't help but basically grunt saying, "I won't let you. You Britannians. No, you traitors can go straight to hell." Within, looking at a photo, as it looks like that of a photo of his wife and child, saying, "I'll see you soon, Naomi." As he soon flips a switch and presses a button. That's when everything begins to explode, knocking back Lelouch at the same time. However, surprisingly, the cargo container is still in one piece. Within, Lelouch couldn't help but basically grunt in pain, saying, "What was that? Did they just basically commit suicide?" Within, entering inside of the cargo container, being that of a honorary Pretendian soldier, as then they come straight at that of Lelouch with that of a powerful high jump spin kick. Within, Lelouch dodging out of the way, saying, "What the hell are you doing?" Within, saying, "I should ask the same for you, you terrorist!" Within, Lelouch dodging out of that again, as thanks to all the exercising and training he's been doing to gain that points, he's a lot more active and has a lot more reflexes than normal. Within, soon sliding on the ground, within getting into that of an amateur fighting stance, or rather what the somewhat fighting stance that he took when he was originally trained by that of Tada, the miracle worker. Within, seeing the stance, saying, "Wait, that stance." Within, saying, "You're after this gas that Britannia were doing anything to get. What if I tell you that it's not even gas?" Within, saying, "What? That thing is a prison cell for some reason. It's not even, there's no gas even inside of it at all." Within, hearing this, saying, "The hell are you talking about?" Within, realizing, and besides, even if it really was toxic gas, it was gas developed by that of Britannia. Definitely would be used against that of the numbers, wouldn't it not? Within, hearing this, the man feels like he's having flashes as he looks at that Lelouch and almost thinking he looks so familiar, saying, "That's why Britannia needs to be wiped out, no matter what." Within, hearing this, he remembers words from that of a boy with the same black hair and eyes, being a younger Lelouch, saying, "Suzaku, I promise you, I will obliterate Britannia. This I swear." getting out of that memory, the person saying, Lelouch, is that you? Within, hearing his name saying, wait, how do you... Within, removing his helmet saying, Lelouch, it's me, Suzaku. I'm so glad that you are okay. Within, realizing, wait, you're... Within, looking closer, seeing his childhood friend, saying, Suzaku, what are you doing here? Within, Suzaku saying, I could say the same for you, but I'm just glad that you're alive. But but still, what do you mean that's not toxic gas? Within saying, like I said, I want more answers from you, but that's not gas. It's within. Without warning, that's when it begins to open up. Still not completely sure that Lelouch is right. He soon basically rushes towards that of Lelouch, with then bringing out that of his gas mask saying, cover your mouth! Within, trying to hold his own breath. However, it's not that of toxic gas at all, just as Lelouch said, as it almost like that of air basically hissing from being released in a vacuum seal. Within, entering at as that of the canister opens up, inside being a green-haired girl with long green hair, amber eyes, and wearing that of a white straitjacket. Within, the two childhood friends see this saying, what? So that's what's inside. So she's the prisoner. Within, Suzaku saying, I don't understand. I thought it was toxic gas. So why? Within, the remaining honorary Britannian soldiers soon arrive. Suzaku's CO arrives too, saying, Private Kiryuji, good work. You were able to bring back that of the subject. Within, Suzaku saying, Sir, don't tell me, did you knew that it wasn't really toxic gas? Saying, of course I knew that it wasn't toxic gas, you damn fool. His Majesty informed me himself. Now then, obtain the girl and kill the boy. Within, Suzaku hearing this saying, what, kill Lelouch? Within, Lelouch realizing, figures as much. No witnesses. That even means fellow Britannians who just got dragged into this. Within, after hearing that, he already has his menu open, already heading to Skell's and preparing his first Skell, being the Zero. Within, Suzaku saying, but sir, he's only innocent. He was dragged in all of this. We can't just... Saying, Private Suzaku Kiryuji, did you not swear oath and fealty to that of the Empire? Within, Suzaku saying, yes, I have. Within, saying, then did you not swear that you would follow all orders and do whatever that of the Empire demands of you? Did you not? Saying, yes, I have, sir. Saying, then why are you not following your orders? But then, soon, Lelouch, looking back at his childhood friend, with Suzaku having that of a kind and somewhat saddened smile, saying, because I can't shoot down that of an innocent person who doesn't deserve it. Within, hearing this, the CEO saying, I see. Well, in that case, within, bringing out a gun, as he soon shoots Suzaku in the back, with Suzaku being shot and going down to the ground, as Lelouch, seeing his childhood best friend basically shot in front of him, saying, Suzaku! As he soon basically falls to the ground, and out of pain, saying, Lelouch, I'm sorry. Within, as instead of basically taking the girl originally in canon and basically running off after seeing his best friend being shot, instead, he actually has that of a look of pure and utter rage and hatred at that of the Britannian soldier and the honorary Britannians that serve him, saying, you're gonna pay for that! Saying, like I'll need to listen to you, dead boy. Within, aiming his gun and telling the soldier, saying, open fire! As then, that's when the girl was about to step in front of Lelouch. However, in that of a blink of an eye, materializing in front of Lelouch, being his Skell, as the black Skell basically blocks each and every one of the shots that were heading for Lelouch. Within, Seeing this, the soldier saying, what is this? What is this vehicle? Within, seeing the perfect opportunity, Lelouch, without warning, grabs that of the girl and then heads inside of the cockpit of his Skell. Before then, the holo display of the 360 axis design materialize over him. Within, gripping the controls. Before then, the sensor light of the Zero turns on as the green light of the custom urban ST Skell goes on. Before then, getting out of vehicle mode, and then in that of its Skell and that of its normal mode. Within, all the Britannian soldiers and even the seat in that of the commanding officer couldn't help but be completely and utterly shocked. Then the man saying, Is this some kind of experimental nightmare frame? Without any reply, that's when the eyes lock on to that of the soldiers. Within, going to that of his systems, and soon selecting one of his weapons, being his left shoulder weapon, as it's his R330 SA SHD Gatling as it soon locks on. Within, mowing down each and every one of them with the spray and bloodshed of all of the soldiers. However, the only one that wasn't hit being Suzaku. Within, soon wanting to basically take his friend out of here, deciding to get out of that of the Skell. Before then, heading to his friend saying, thankfully, Suzaku is still alive. Unfortunately, I don't have any materials on me to basically keep. Within, soon looking around, trying to see if he can find something, as he finds it as it being a standard issue Britannian signal beacon, as it sends out a signal for that of fallen Britannian soldiers. Normally, it's basically useless, especially if you're under the command of Cornelia of all people, and even Maribel. And yet, it is quite useful for people like that of Clovis who doesn't really care about manpower, but cares about all useful soldiers and coming around him. Within, basically pressing down on the beacon as it sends out that of a signal saying, "Don't worry, Suzaku. You'll get some help. I know you will. But for the meantime, rest up, my friend, and stay out of this. Hopefully." Within, heading back inside of the Skell, within seeing the girl basically sitting on one of the holo displays, which could really cause a problem if he doesn't have that of all, visual access, saying, you can sit down somewhere else. There's a seat stand right here. But then saying, I think I'm better here. You do know this thing is going to joggle around a lot, so I think it's best that you do sit right next to me. Within realizing also, explain on who the hell you even are to cause all this suffering that Clovis is doing here. Within saying, I can't, at least not right now. Or better yet, I will, at least some, if you make a contract with me. Saying, contract? With her saying, yes, forge a contract with me. Do you not want power? Within, hearing this, Lelouch was a little bit tempted. Within, soon, he remembers what he has now. The power of the Skell system. The power of basically being able to have that of a machine from another world. The power to basically fight against Britannia right now. And the very thing that he gained, saying, no, not right now. Saying, huh? Why not? But then, Lelouch saying, I'll listen to this deal another time, but for now, it's not important. What's important is what's out there. Within, getting out of the building, making sure that Suzaku is at a perfect angle where the bleeding will stop a little bit, or rather slow it down a little while. Within, going out of the building, before then, trying to run as fast as he can. However, the Skell doesn't have that much, speed when it comes to running. Before then, transforming into that of its vehicle mode. Before then, black burning rubber towards the battlefield. Within saying, I have to save as many people as I can. I'll do whatever I can to protect everybody here. I may not be able to save everyone's lives, but I'll protect on those who I can. Britannia, Clovis, you're all going down. This I swear! Within accelerating even forward. Within as the green-haired girl saying, Lelouch v. Britannia, you're completely different from what your mother said you are, but also quite similar as well. Within as many, nameless Sutherlands begin to continue to mow down that of civilians and also that of the resistance forces of Shinjuku. However, little did they know, something was basically coming at them at full speed. Before then, is it being the Zero. But then soon, one of the soldiers saying, hey, does anybody hear that? Saying, what? Within soon, one of the other soldiers saying, yeah, I think I could hear it, but I don't see it on my sensors. What is it? Within soon, somebody, one of the Sutherlands turns around, noticing the Zero, saying, wait, what is that thing? Before then, Lelouch transforms the Zero into that of its normal mode. Before then, bringing out his P knife, or rather his plasma knife. Within the electrified plasma energy begins to crackle. With soon one of them saying, "What the hell?" As then Lelouch, with all of his roaring passion and hatred, basically cuts through that of one of the Sutherlands from the torso to the cockpit. Before not even stopping there, going to that of the other one, cutting that of its arms, and then stabbing down into that of the cockpit. Not stopping there, the other one, wanting to finally getting out of his shock, shoots at that of the Zero. Within Lelouch dodging out of the way without even breaking a sweat, before then stabbing into the cockpit too, destroying each and every one of the Sutherlands with that of just a few practice swings and slashes. Within, soon Lelouch saying, similar, just like before, the simulation training pretty worked out well. Not only that, I have a lot of practice working in areas like this in the ghetto, given all the practice driving and piloting this thing. Within, realizing, however, noticing that of the resistance forces, before then noticing display monitor, seeing that, zooming in, noticing that of a radio. Within, now, however, it isn't just that of the radio. The system also scans that of the Sutherlands. As the scan is complete, it soon scans that of the Royal Guard's comm systems. As now, Lelouch is basically is now in the same comm system as the Sutherlands, and even that's in the same as the rebel forces too. Within, hearing each and every one of the resistance group and also the Britannian Royal Guard, Lelouch couldn't help but smirk, saying, This could work out pretty well now. Within, the girl saying, what do you have in plan, Lelouch? Within, Lelouch smirking, saying, I'm going to basically turn this battlefield around for the Japanese. I've been waiting for this moment for years now, and I finally have reached my moment. Now it's time to make Britannia pay. With Lelouch having that of a serious look as he's about to act his plan, that's when his phone begins to ring. Before then, realizing, it's Shirley. Within, soon, that's when the green-haired girl saying, oh, your girlfriend, saying, no, she's not. Before then, also grabbing that of the girl by her mouth, as she's completely shocked and surprised, before answering, saying, hey, Shirley, sorry, I wanted to tell you that I'm currently in a bit of a predicament. Rivel's basically abandoned me, and I'm currently walking all the way back to Ashford, so it may be a while. You think you could tell the Prez, Millie, and Nonnally that I'll be back a little bit late? Within, soon, Shirley saying, sure, Lulu. Just please be safe And the next time I see Rivals, I'm giving him a piece of my mind. Within, soon hearing somebody coming to that of the student council hallway saying, I'm back. Within, saying, speak of the devil. Within, she, as Shirley about to basically hang up, saying, Rivals, I have some words for you. Within, soon you can hear a quiet wincing in that of the background before Lelouch hang up saying, sorry about that, Rivals. I'll owe you a favor in the future. Promise. With now that taken care of, within she's saying, did you need to? Yes. Just by looking at you, you're the kind of person that would basically speak while somebody was on the phone. Within, she basically couldn't help but narrow her eyes at that of Lelouch, basically calling her out on that of the facts. Before then, Lelouch couldn't help but say, now then, time to turn this battlefield into that of my beginning. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. And in the next part, we'll basically be getting into that of the battle at the Shinjuku ghetto, which is Lelouch's first battle. And also a Skell versus the Lancelot, which I feel like this is what you guys are all looking forward to. Will a Skell basically be able to handle that of the Lancelot? Or will it just crash and burn due to Suzaku's immense great piloting skills? And let's just say you'll just have to wait and see. At any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification key to date my videos uploaded to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my main channel, my other channel, my Patreon, my Cash App, and my PayPal. All linked in the description below if I'm not too lazy to do so. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later, guys. Hope you all take care.